You're listening to RadioActive on 91.3 FM CJTR. I'm beyond excited to be joined by Whale and Wolf frontman Ryan Maier. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well today. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. So a few days ago, you guys released a new single called Veins. How excited are you to have this song out?
We've been waiting. I think this song has been probably 2.5 years in the making. So, and I mean, I've been really, really excited about it forever and ever and ever. I just feel like this is sort of like the perfect sort of summation of sort of where we've been musically and where we're going musically. It just sort of sits right in that little middle bubble and sort of, I think, is a really good cross section of who we are as a band. So I really wanted to have this out there and on, the ears of sort of the people who've been following along and some new ears for a long, long time. So now that it's out, it feels great. I feel like sort of, I don't know, like I said, we've had this song in the pocket for about 2 years, and we've always been very confident that it's gonna do well and people are gonna like it. But you're always way too close to your own music. Like you can't ever really have a proper gauge of if a song's good or not because you're always kind of they're your babies, you know what I mean? And they
Right.
can do no wrong. So to finally have it out there and be getting, overwhelmingly positive responses from people, it just feels like all the waiting's been justified kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you just mentioned, the reaction for it's been pretty good, and you guys had Veins go on a Spotify playlist. How happy are you that that made a playlist on Spotify?
Really happy. I mean that playlist really and truly it's like the new Music Friday Canada playlist on Spotify. So they have like 300,000 subscribers to it. So yeah, you're hoping that you're getting some big numbers out of that right out the gate, which sort of just I don't want to bore people with like how you're trying to like hack the algorithms of Spotify because it's just like it's not the fun cool part of music at all, but it's such an important part of music to get your music as far as you can possibly get it. But to get onto that playlist, we had to really have the song listened to quite a bit in the first day organically by sort of people who followed along. So obviously we were going really hard on social media, but I think just a lot of the people who've been following along for a long time really were the people who helped us get onto that playlist. It doesn't happen without people listening to the song, and I think listening to the song multiple times. You know what I mean? Like each individual listener. So yeah, I think we did whatever we had to do to beat the system in that regard, and I think it bodes well for hopefully some future playlisting. It's good on the resume.
Yeah. And what was your writing process behind this song like?
This one, I mean, it was a real mishmash. Like I guess it started in a lot of ways just with like a really terrible voice memo in my phone, which a lot of our sort of like songs are born there. And like, I don't want to say that by any means, like my voice memo is the end result of what we got. Like taking it into the band is like that. They're the ones who really paint the picture. I guess like my voice memo is with like just the melodies and the themes behind the song sort of maybe are like the canvas, you know what I mean? And then the guys really add their brush strokes and make it something pretty. So it started for real with just like me having a bass line stuck in my head. And I think at the time I was just sweeping the floor of my condo. And I don't know what it is, but I legitimately think that like doing rhythmic things like sweeping or going for a run and just having that like constant tempo, melodies and pieces of songs just make their way into like the forefront of my brain. And I have to instantly write that down or record it or else it's gone within the instant. I'll try to remember it 10 minutes later. What was it? How did that part go? So it's like instantly get it down into like onto a piece of paper, the words, or just voice record, get something down there. And that's where that song started. It was just that boom, 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 boom. And I think that those I've got something under my skin and the itch won't go away. Those first words were there since day one. There's no tweaking to those along the way. There's no polishing those. And it just sort of obviously after that, it's like taking it to the band. And I'm the least musically talented member of the band by far, like by like heads and tails. The other guys really like it's a testament to how good they are that I can like hum something and they can recreate it musically and make it sound cool sonically. So they really like brought it all together. And it'd be really interesting to probably show you where the demo came, how the demo sounded that we sent to our producers, and then obviously what the final product is, because the producers got their hands on it, and they were really excited about what we had done with just a shitty iPhone demo in our jam space. Audio didn't sound good, but the bones of the song are there, and they're like, there's something here, we can make this awesome. So to hear that demo and some of the pieces of the song that are missing from that in the new finely polished, finely tuned final version of it, it'd be interesting for you to hear like the juxtaposition between the two versions. But it definitely, like, it took a village to raise this child. But it started in the smallest, most humble beginnings, and yeah, it was cool to kind of sculpt it that way.
Right. And what's kind of the idea behind the song? Like, what's it about?
I would say I normally don't like going too deep into sort of what the song's about. I like to normally leave the interpretation up to anyone who listens. But for this one, I think I don't mind talking about, like, I feel like there is like a double entendre of, like, there's the like ham-fisted you could probably take right away from it off the top, that like you could probably paint a picture about like some sort of an addiction. I mean, there is some like imagery through the vocals that would give you like the sense that it's about drugs, hard drugs. You know what I mean? But like, I mean, it can be about that. But I think that the double entendre is that it could be about any sort of vice or any sort of temptation. And I tried my very best to sort of leave that as broad as possible, so people can kind of apply it to whatever their vice or their addiction or their temptation is in their life. And I didn't try to make it too specific that it's about this. Could be about heroin. It could be about gaming. It could be about, some sort of like a desire in the realm of, sexual temptation or whatever the hell it could be about. But I just wanted to leave it wide open. But I think those are sort of the themes that are pretty easy to sort of figure out. And then, I don't know, that's where I'll leave that. Yeah.
Yeah. And before you guys had Veins out, you released a single called Midnight Riot. What was your process behind this song?
That was actually, you know what? That one was similar to Veins in a lot of ways, that it did come out of nowhere for me, just the melody. A lot of the songs that we've written over the last little while, Midnight Riot was actually the one that I'll actually cite as like the one that sort of started the spark was this way. But I woke up from like a nap, and like the song was just sort of there. Like, I find that when we're like trying to like actively write a song, I find that it's always the hardest to do it that way. If I'm like going to go and sit down and try and write a song, I find it really hard. Like, I find it like hard to get ideas. And I feel like when it's forced for me, it just never comes out right. And it's just sort of like when I'm not trying and when I'm not at all, like even in that mindset, it allows my brain to like just go slack. And it was like coming out of that sleep. It was just kind of like there in the back of my mind, and I'd like bring it to the forefront and really like, once again, like sing it into my phone. And then that one, I just went and like really shittily on my acoustic guitar, sort of worked out a bit of bones that aren't even in the song anymore at all. Like, the finished version does nothing like what I wrote on my acoustic in it anymore, but that give me the rhythm to be able to write up to the first chorus. I took it into the jam space that night with the boys, and they made it 10 times better. But that was one that we had our guys flying in from Nashville that weekend, and we needed another couple songs to throw at them when they got here. And that one we wrote the week that they came. So it was like, I think that it probably, the gestation period, if you want to put it that way, for that song was the shortest of any songs we've ever been like, holy shit, we wrote that song and then we recorded it that week. Like, that's never happened. I don't know if it will happen again, but it's just sort of like we were forced to. And oddly enough, when I said that I don't like being under pressure to write, we were under pressure to write, and that came out, and I don't know, it bizarrely worked. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that song did pretty good when you guys released it. So did the reaction from Midnight Riot make you more excited to release more music?
Yes, completely. And I think, so we've got an entire EP that will be coming out over the summer, fall months. It's 5 songs. And I think, once again, like, it's a 5-song set of that just really, it's all over the map. Like, I think that we've been told so many times over the years to like, we need to like maybe streamline our music. You know what I mean? Like, really find your sound or whatever. I think we've sort of in a way found our sound, if you want to put it that way, with this new EP. But it definitely takes you to a few different places musically, and it doesn't fall into any particular genre of music. Like I think it's all like, I mean, Midnight Riot to Veins, I think do sit really well together, but the remaining 3 songs that are going to be coming out are like going to stretch the boundaries of like, is it rock? Is it pop? Is it alternative rock? Is it, what is it? Like, what is this band? And I kind of like that. I don't think that, the streaming platforms of the world are going to like that it's like too hard to identify what it is, but I just think that it's going to keep people interested, and it's not going to sound like anything else really that's going on anywhere else in music. And I think that we like that. We're not trying to sound like anybody else. So that's I think what we achieved through this record, just by being ourselves.
Right. And are these new songs that you guys have recorded your favorites, or do you still like the old ones?
I don't know. Yes, these are these are my favorites for sure. I just think that we nailed it with our production team that we worked with. We were on the same page and became such good friends over like the little 2-week period that we recorded it. And I think that the story behind it, and I should say also that with these songs, these 5 songs, they were the first songs that we ever wrote with our sort of like new-ish members to the band, Joel on the drums and Keenan on the piano and keys. So like, I just think that them being injected into the mix really, they made our band, they next leveled our band by a lot. Just their writing prowess, their musical talent, and just their ideas. And everyone's on the same page now. It's great. Like, I think that these members in this band, this is it forever. You know, if anybody leaves the band's done. Like, there's no, finding another member and going about it. It's just, this is it. This sort of set of recordings cemented, I think, the band as, this is us. And I feel really good about that. That being said, still some major soft spots, and I still do really love that first EP in a lot of ways. I just think that there's some magic that happened there in us not really knowing what we were doing at the time.
Mm-hmm. And do you think adding Joel and Keenan to the band has changed your guys' writing process?
100%. Yes, yep. A lot. Yes. Like the first EP, yeah, I mean, a lot of them were written basically out of kind of riffs that Brandon would bring to us. And it'd be like Lucas on bass, myself, and Brandon. And we would sort of build around what Brandon had brought to us musically, and like build a song around that. Just trying to like wrap my head around all the songs. Yeah, 100%. That's kind of how the first EP was written, that debut EP. And I think that it has, not to say that the new EP wasn't built that way, and that Brandon wasn't a giant part of that writing process as well. But I think there were certain parts where it was like Keenan brought an idea on the piano and we built around that. And then, Brandon did something on this song, and that song really has his sort of like DNA all over it. And then Joel just is I'm not even like, I'll say it, like Joel's like the best drummer. Like I've ever worked with, and like he's just incredible. Like I think he's very respected in the Edmonton music scene. He drums on everybody's music here in town. He's like a very talented studio musician. Just like our producers from Nashville were just like blown away with how incredible this guy from Northern Canada was at the drums. Like they've dealt with some really, really good musicians down in Nashville, and they're like, what? Joel just like 1, 2, 3 takes on like these songs. Like, good. Do we need to do another take? No, he got it. Like everything. He's incredible. So Joel's amazing at the drums, and we're so fortunate to have him on board. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how has the COVID pandemic affected your band, like touring wise, releasing music, just stuff like that?
It's big time impacted the band as far as like touring. It's just like been dead. We were fortunate enough to play a few COVID friendly like outdoor and like COVID friendly indoor social distance shows last year. There was like I don't think we only got to play 3. I think our band played 3 shows last year, which is like not typical at all. It's usually a lot more. So big, step back for us in that, but that's everybody, like no one's playing right now. Yeah. So we just had to, I don't know, reinvent how we do things. And luckily we already had these songs recorded. We kind of already planned to release this music. So we have been able to keep very busy with the band musically in just like the release strategy and in the promo and in the marketing and in the videos that we've created. Yeah, so I don't know. I think we definitely, like, it didn't slow us down. It just took our focus off of being able to play live and shoved it into a different realm of what we do. And it's kind of the business side. Like I said, like that's the least cool thing to talk about when you're like talking about being in a rock band. Like it's not the sexy part of playing in a band, like talking about the business side of things, because it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so important. Like it's the most important thing, which is crazy. But yeah.
Yeah. And when you guys are able to get back on the road, what are you most excited for?
I obviously, playing live on stage is like this feeling that you can't really explain to anybody unless you've done it. Like it's just it's incredible. Like it's the best. Like playing on stage is this feeling that only that can give you. So that, but I think that like when you go and play, like let's just say you're doing like a little 1 week or weekend tour or whatever, playing 3 dates, playing 5 dates, whatever the hell it is. I think any longer you start to hate each other a bit, but like just the fun part are the points in between where you're not playing, where it's nothing to do with the actual music in a lot of ways. It's just like driving down the road and being with your like best friends and like all coming together for this common goal that, the end goal here is, yeah, we're going to play this show tonight and kick ass and sell some merch and, make some new fans, hopefully. But it's like just the stupid one-off throwaway jokes that are told. It's the like tiny little, quasi after party in the hotel room after, where it's just your band, like having a couple beers, not getting too carried away, but just like enjoying the fact that like we made it through that day. There was a lot of bullshit that went into that. And there were a couple close calls, making it to the radio station on time to make our interview. Hey, our little radio session where we did that acoustic song, that went off pretty good. Yep, good. Feel good about that. Played our show, got there on time, kicked some ass, got out of the venue, like got paid, like all that stuff that like you just need to achieve to have a successful gig. And then just sitting back and kind of enjoying the fact that it all kind of somehow came together. I think that's my favorite part of the day in a lot of ways, is like being with the boys back at the hotel after a job well done, just like hanging out and talking about the stupid things that happened that day.
Mm-hmm. And where's one place that you would just like love to play at, whether it's a festival or a venue or just anywhere?
I legitimately would love to, like, I always think about it. I love playing at the Exchange in Regina. Like, I love that venue. Yeah, totally. I really, that's like, it's like that venue and then like Red Deer's Bo's Bar and Grill are the two places that just always felt like home when we play, a home away from home, I should say. Because our hometown shows in Edmonton are always awesome. And when we go to Saskatoon and we've got a bunch of roots there, that's like a hometown show too in a lot of ways. But like, we've just sort of like met a lot of great people in Regina who've helped us out a lot, and just feel like over the years of playing there, really met some people that we feel like we know really well now, even though we've only met them a few times. And I don't know, Regina, the Exchange, that's where I want to play again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when I had interviewed Brandon, we were talking about when you guys were in Regina at the Exchange, and when you guys played Touch, and the crowd was just like singing it back to you guys, and it was just awesome.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing ever. It is. It really is. It's funny. Like, that's another one where that Touch song, Brandon brought that guitar thing off the top, and it's funny how it just like that chorus came pretty easily. That like those lyrics and that melody came really easy, and they came from Brandon playing that chord progression. And it's funny to think that those just like words that just got like vomited out and like obviously like manicured to sound good with the band and the production, like people are singing it. It's weird. It's really, really weird, but it's like the coolest feeling ever. Yeah.
And moving forward, what's next for Whale and the Wolf?
But I think that like in the short term, it's the release of more music over the summer months. We have obviously had to rethink, any sort of strategy as to, we can't tour, so we can't support music that way, which I think is a huge way to get new fans. Like, I mean, we can obviously, people can stream the music, and I think COVID has brought people closer to music in a lot of ways, listening to it. in a at home or in the vehicle setting or whatever. And I think it's probably helped a lot of people get through COVID. And I think that people have a deeper connection to it now during COVID than prior, maybe. But I think that, people listening live, you can really bring some people in, and there's some songs that maybe people didn't really give a chance of ours. Like I think about the song that we have, Thread. It's like our little sort of engine that could. It's like everyone forgets about it. It's the 6th song on the debut EP. It's it's you have to almost dig through our whatever catalog to find it. But I think that if you heard it live, the way that it translates live, it's a really cool live song, and you're like, what? They recorded that, and then you go and seek that song out to listen to it. Like, got a new enjoyment for that song. So I think live music really brings people back. They're like a beast that feeds one another. Like you play live, people listen to your songs, stream. You know what I mean? It's just they feed one another. Then they listen to it stream. They're going to come to your show. So they're very much like a symbiotic relationship. But I think that we've had to obviously find other ways to I guess move the needle and getting new people who haven't heard our band before. So we are over the summer months broaching the realm of NFTs, which I'm not going to try and explain. I don't know how much you know about them. I don't know a whole lot about them. We're lucky that Keenan, the guy who does all our artwork, he's our piano player. He does all our music videos. He's the most tech savvy guy I've ever met. And he's, into the art scene here in Edmonton, and he's very well respected in Edmonton for what he does. Aside from our band, and he knows everything about NFTs, and we're doing it. We're getting into that realm of that non-fungible token jazz. I'm not going to sit here and try and explain it. I'll sound like an idiot. If you want a math class on it, you can talk to him, but we're getting into that realm because it's another way to sort of allow people some ownership of our music in a way that's never been done before. So there's that. The music videos coming out. There's just lots of stuff in the short term. In the long term, we have a bunch of songs that we got to write during COVID that we're going to record and put out more music in the future, probably hoping next year we can have another EP to put out over the summer months. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what you guys got coming up next, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. Thanks for doing an interview today, Ryan.
Of course, Vic, you're the best.